welcome into AU Nation. Each week we bring together members of the Auburn Student Media Group and discuss the latest topics in sports. I'm Evan Blank. On today's show, we'll predict upcoming Final Four in college basketball national championship, and we'll fill in some blanks as well. Now, let's introduce today's panel of experts. Our first guest today is Eli Hiskey. Eli is a writer for the Auburn Plainsman. Eli, making a return to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, and like I've always said before, it's a pleasure to be on the show with you.
Pleasure to have you back. Our other expert today is Mary Kate Houlditch. She is an sports reporter for Eagle Eye TV and is making her television debut. Mary Kate, how are you today?
Doing great. Super excited to be here. Can't wait to do the show.
Hey, we love having new people on all the time. Well, let's start by filling in some blanks. I'll give you a sports phrase, and it is your job to fill in the blank. We begin today with the news out of the NFL. The Raiders' move to Las Vegas is blank. Eli,
I'm going to go with the Raiders' move to Las Vegas is strictly business. I think it's just a business move. I know the fans in Oakland have been great, especially they've been getting better these past 2 years. They're still going to be there a couple years, and it's unfortunate for them to watch them leave. Derek Carr was mentioning that a lot yesterday when the move was announced, but I think it's going to be good for the sport in Las Vegas. I think they're going to fit right in. I think it's going to bring in a lot of money to the Raiders and the NFL in general, and I think it's going to be the opening door to gambling being legalized in sports in America.
All right, Mary Kate, the Raiders move to Las Vegas is blank.
I think it's needed. I mean, Vegas is the gambling capital of the world, and I think there's an NHL team moving there, so I think it's time to put some sports in gambling and let this get the start on the roll.
I think that this move to Las Vegas is good for Jerry and Stan, because you look at Jerry Jones and Stan Kroenke are the people I'm talking about. Jerry Jones didn't want a team coming to San Antonio, which was another place that had been mentioned in the past. Wanted to, just keep the two teams in Texas. Stan Kroenke didn't want the Raiders going to Los Angeles, and that's how he got the Chargers to move in, because the Raiders are still probably the most popular team in Los Angeles, other than maybe USC football. So I think it's good for those two owners, and I think that's how it got done. Two powerful guys. But we move on to college basketball. UCLA freshman phenom Lonzo Ball just finished a spectacular season and is now declared for the NBA draft. His dad, however, has been getting a ton of the spotlight as well. LaVar Ball's behavior is blank. Mary Kate.
I think it's laughable. I mean, you're an adult man. You shouldn't be making all these comments about your sons, and you're kind of putting them in a little bit of a stretch because they have to live up to what you're saying. And I hope it's over now with him moving on from college, and maybe we'll get a break from him. And I just can't help but laugh when you hear what he's saying.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think what LaVar Ball is saying is ridiculous. Not only putting the pressure on his sons unneeded, he's comparing him to Steph Curry and all that, but also just what he's saying about himself. I don't know why the media is giving him the light of day when it comes to attention. I mean, he was not a good basketball player in his prime. He was not a good basketball player pretty much ever. And I think he's trying to live vicariously through his sons right now and do what he knows they can do much more than he ever did.
I think LaVar Ball's behavior is pro wrestling. It's sort of really like WWE out there coming in, grabbing the mic, yelling at Stephen A. Smith that he can beat Michael Jordan one-on-one, and his kids are set up better than LeBron James' kids. And it's funny to watch. I don't
it's laughable. It's just
I don't
funny.
take much stock into what he says, but it's fun television to say the least. All right, well, there are your blanks. They have been filled, and after the break, we're going to make Final Four predictions. This is Eagle Eye TV.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
Welcome back to AU Nation. The Final Four will take place this Saturday in Phoenix. The surprise team out of the group is South Carolina. The Gamecocks are making their first ever trip to the Final Four. The Gonzaga Bulldogs are also making their first trip to the Final Four. Remember, Gonzaga went the entire season only losing once. The Oregon Ducks are back in the Final Four for the first time since 1939. And the fun fact there, 39 was the first year that the Final Four even took place. I believe the Ducks won that championship as well. And finally, the North Carolina Tar Heels back in the Final Four for the second straight year. The Heels are hoping this season ends differently than last year. Remember, Villanova beat UNC in the title game on a Chris Jenkins buzzer beater just one season ago. Prediction time. First game is Saturday night, Gonzaga and South Carolina. Who wins and why? Eli, we'll start with you.
I mean, I could really see this game going either way, but I think I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I think South Carolina's Cinderella story ends. I think Gonzaga's depth is just too much. They have 9 guys that can play at any given time on the court, and South Carolina's defense is fantastic. I think it's the best defensive group in the Final Four right now. But I think with Gonzaga's depth, they can tire out the Gamecocks and finally start to use their big men in down low. I think Zach Collins off the bench is one of their best players, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job and get them into the championship.
Mary Kate.
I'm with you on that. I think the run's over for South Carolina. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because both teams are so good on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't think South Carolina has enough to keep it going through the whole game. So I think Gonzaga will pull it out at the end.
Yeah, I like Gonzaga as well. Mark Few is probably the most underrated coach in college basketball, in my opinion. Finally breaks through and makes his first Final Four. I think even though neither team has ever played in a Final Four, I just like Gonzaga because they've played in some big games in the tournament. They've gotten sort of a rhythm going on. And South Carolina, I think, is just sort of going to be awestruck by the moment. And I think that might just get to them. So I have the Bulldogs moving on as well. Next game is North Carolina and Oregon. This is the one I'm most excited for. Who wins and why? Mary Kate.
I'm going out on a limb. I got Oregon in this game. They were my only team in my bracket that I picked in the Final Four that's actually in the Final Four. I think Ball and Dorsey are just too good together, and I think they're going to come out on top. High-scoring game for this one, though.
I think it really depends on how Joel Berry is feeling. I think if his ankle is even somewhat better than how it was after the Kentucky game, I think that UNC has a really good shot to stay with their backcourt. And then I think UNC's big men are just too good. I think Oregon's really going to miss Chris Boucher right in this game.
Yeah, I'm actually going to stick with Mary Kate. I like Oregon in this game. I think they've just gotten really hot. Dana Altman's done a tremendous job with that team in such a short amount of time. It's really incredible. Boucher's going to hurt him, and I think that's what's going to make it close. People are talking about Oregon as sort of this Cinderella-type team, even though they're a 3. And I think if you look back to the start of the season, they were preseason number 5.
Yeah, they're just a couple games away from being a number 1
so
seed.
we knew this was going to be a really good team, and I think this is going to be... This has like game of the tournament potential in it. So I'm picking the Ducks in a narrow one. So we've made our Final Four picks. Who wins your national championship game? Title game will take place next Monday night. Eli, who do you have?
So I've got UNC versus Gonzaga in the championship, and I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think it's going to be real big man-centered because it's the strength of both of those teams. And if UNC can get the offensive rebounds that they've been getting all tournament long, I think they're going to get the win and finally redeem their loss to Villanova last year.
I got Oregon and Gonzaga, and I stick with my other one. Oregon, again, was my only team, and I'm a believer in the Ducks, and I think they're going to get the next championship after only having the first one.
I'm sticking with Mary Kate again. I have Oregon over Gonzaga in the title game. I think these are both great coaches, and I think if they want to stay at these jobs, they can, but I think they might field better offers in the next couple of years, too. These are two of the best X's and O's coach in basketball, and I think it's going to be really close. It'll start off really slow because the two teams, again, will be probably starstruck by the fact that they're in a national championship game. But I think Oregon narrowly wins it at the end. We're going to have another good championship game.
I think it'll be a great game regardless.
Same here.
Yeah. It's
Any
been
of those.
been a really exciting tournament and should be a whole lot of fun out there in Phoenix this coming weekend. All right, well, Eli, thank you for joining us yet again.
Always a pleasure. Can't wait to be back on the next time.
And Mary Kate, your television debut. We loved having you on.
Loved
to have
it.
you
Loved
back.
it.
All right, that's going to be it this week for AU Nation. We'll see you right back here next week.